Hi guys, so today is my January wrap up. This is my first ever wrap up for YouTube and I'm very excited to be doing it. So I'm going to start with some books that I don't physically own or have with me. So those include library, Kindle books, all the things. But yeah, let's get into it. The first book that I read that I don't own is Book 4, called Sapphire Flames. Is part of the Hidden Legacy series by Ilona Andrews. If you know about them, they are a couple that write together. One has Ilona and one is Andrews. Ilona Andrews. And this is book 4, and I really enjoyed it. However, it was a big shift because the first 3 books in the series followed a different sister, the oldest sister of the bunch. So the final 3 books follow a different sister. And that was a big shift because I did not know that was going to happen. So it kind of caught me off guard. But after I started reading it, I liked it. And that brings us to the second book that I read that I don't own, which is book 5 in the Hidden Legacy series. And that one is called Emerald Blaze. And I love this one a lot more than I loved book 4. And I'm very excited to read book 6. I've been on hold for it on Libby for so long. Because that's how I'm reading it. And it's so good though. It was so good. Book 5 was so good compared to book 4. Because I really enjoyed books 1 through 3. And then there was a 3.5, I guess, to like blend us into the new sister. But I really didn't realize that. And I just didn't vibe with it as much. But book 5 was really, really good. The next book I read was The Marriage Favor, and this is for a video. I don't know if it's coming out before or after this, but it's a book series I'm doing, trying to read every author that is going to be at the Southern Hearts and Signed Kisses book convention. So this is the first author I read from, Siobhan Latrice. I'm going to give this book like a 1.5 or a 2. It was quite something. I couldn't get with it. It wasn't my vibe at all. You'll see my thoughts in that video. Look out for it. I just can't. So, Next, I read Desire, the Arranged Heart series by Kay Shanae. That is also a book I read on Kindle. I read 2 books by her for this vlog. The first one I would give like a 2.5 or 3. And the second one, which is Meant to Love You, I would give like a 2.5. I think Desire would be higher rated. She was very like bland, like going through the motions writing, in my opinion. It was more of a like everything that was supposed to happen happened. Everything that was like you go through the motions, it all happened, but there was no personality to it, in my opinion. So that's why it was just so bland. And then the third and final author I read for that first episode was M.L. Bash. And look at God, he gave us some good things. I read Night. It's a part of the Barron family saga. And I read Rook. I gave Night a 4.5 and I gave Rook a 4. Both great books. Both books I would buy from the author. I had a great time reading them. Night was the first book I have ever read with a why choose, and it was one man, multiple women. All the ones I've read before that was one woman, multiple men. And whether those men do things with each other or not is whatever. But I really enjoyed it because the only reason I've never read a one man, multiple women, because I thought it was going to be icky. I feel like a lot of times when you see the polyamory stuff and it's one man, multiple women, it's very icky or really not handled well. But this one was handled very well. And book 2, it was one guy, one girl, and I still enjoyed it wholeheartedly. So I'm very happy about that. The next 2 books I'm about to tell you about are both from the library. First, we have The Choice by Nora Roberts. I read the entire series from the library. The entire series to me is mid. It's a very 3-star type of book, a 2.5, 3-star type of book. I would consider it low stakes because, to be honest, book 3 was the third and final book in this trilogy. And the fact that the big battle didn't happen until like 95% in, you know it's gonna be very like one and done, very quick. I'm trying to compare it to a book that a lot of people have read, which is, okay, So in Kingdom of Ash by Sarah Janet, that whole book, like a lot of that, a big chunk of that book was war. Was just fighting and war. The main thing I dislike about that book is that the main character took too long to get to the war, but I just don't like, that was a lot of war, and this one was so little, so tiny. I don't think characters have to die in books for it to be a memorable fight or whatever, but I do think that one or two people dying in this thing that you said will blow up the world is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then I have The Guinevere Deception by Kirsten White. I'm telling you, this book went out one eye and out the other, one ear out the other. Like, I don't care about anything. And this book was for a different video I'm doing that I'm pretty sure isn't out yet, but it's reading book ones to series that I accidentally bought book twos to, right? So I accidentally bought book two to The Guinevere Deception. Guess who's not reading book two? Me. I just don't care. I don't care about any of the characters. I don't care about the plot. I don't care at all. So let's get into the books that I do physically have with me. Let's start off with some Beverly Jenkins. First, I have Winds of the Storm by Miss Beverly Jenkins. This is top tier. I have most of Miss Beverly Jenkins right here behind me. These are 3 that I borrowed from my mother. I have a list on my notes app of books that I need to get so I could finish my Beverly Jenkins historical romance collection. For anybody who's new here, Beverly Jenkins writes Black historical romance, and it takes place from right at the cusp of the end of the Civil War to like close to the 1900s. So that's like where the most of them come. The earliest one though was during like Paul Revere time, but only one took place around that time. The thing about historical romance is a lot of people don't write Black historical romance because they think it's all sad. But what people don't realize is if Black people were so sad and nothing good happened to them, we would have become extinct as a race a long time ago. We find the happiness in everything. And these books barely have trauma in them. It's very much about the love and happiness that we face and the camaraderie we have with each other. They're so good. I recommend these wholeheartedly. My top 3, if anybody wants to know, to read those specific ones, it would be Rebel, Indigo, and Vivid. Rebel, Indigo, and Vivid. So I read Winds of the Storm. It was a 5-star. It was great. Then I read part of her like early 2000s, which they usually follow they're usually descendants of one of the characters from the historicals. But I read The Edge of Dawn, which it was also very great. This follows one of the descendants of the historical romances, which I love to see. What's crazy is that it made me sad because I know that this happens in like 2006. So for this to be happening then, I know that they're dead, and it made me so sad to realize. So was that crazy? Yes, but still. This was amazing. This is the last contemporary, like 2006, 2000 era that one I needed to read. Now I can move on to her contemporary ones, which I'm very excited about because I will never stop reading Miss Beverly Jenkins. I believe I gave this a 4 or 5 stars as well. And then last we have Always and Forever. I read these out of order because this one takes place before a couple of the historical ones that I have read. So it was weird being like back in time a little bit. But I still really enjoyed this one. It's not my fave historical romance one, but it's really up there. It's really good. Next, I have Heir to His Heart by Tatum James. And let me tell you this right now. If this wasn't personally signed for me and signed by her, this would be getting unhauled. Because what the hell was this? This book was not great. This was struggle love, if there ever was a struggle love. This was dissing single mothers, if there ever was a dissing of single mothers. This was very bad. I gave it like a 1.5 or a 2. The only reason I'm keeping it is because it's personally signed to me. I got this from the convention, Southern Hearts and Signed Kisses, the first time. I got it because a girl recommended it to me while we were there. And hey, maybe I shouldn't have listened to her, you know? Next, another book I got from there, but it was completely the opposite. 5 stars. I'm going to read it again probably in a couple months. I have book 2. And Then Life Was Beautiful. this book right here, I have a whole vlog on it already out. If you want to watch it, you can. It was amazing. I annotated the heck out of this book. Can you see the annotations? Here's some ASMR. I love this book so much. There was no third act breakup. There was no miscommunication. One of these tabs that I have on here is literally for communication skills. Like, they are, and this is also signed, because I got this at the same convention I got the other one at. And I have book 2 that I got from the convention too, so I will be reading that as well, most likely in February. But this book was so good. This book was so good. I love this book so much. And the author actually commented on the video that I read this in. It was so good. It was so good. Next we have Crown of Thunder. This is the first book I read for 2025. I gave it 4 stars. This is a duology. I'm trying to read more Black fantasy. In the past 5 to 10 years, a lot has come out compared to before that. Before that, I was mainly reading white fantasy, and because that was the only thing out there. And I'm trying to go in the backlogs of people's Black fantasy and read them. This series is a great series. They're both quite thin, and it's a duology series, and it has math magic in it, which I've never seen before, but it's really good. And I'm pretty sure most of you have heard of Tochi before. I feel like he's a very well-known Black author in the space, but this is really good. And I can't say much about it because this is book 2, but I would consider this a series for everybody to read. It's not that long, very, very good and very easy. Next, I have the omnibus version of Secrets Drenched in Blood. This is the Midnight Harbor series by Nikki St. Crow. Now, because this is an omnibus, I'm rating it as a whole, and as a whole, it's getting a 3, because if I was rating it as a whole for books 1 through 3, it would probably get a 4 star. It just kept on going and kept on going and kept on going. There was no love between each other. This was just lust, and lust has a place, but I need some more. I really do need more in a story than just lust and just sex over and over again. And this was just that. I didn't feel the love that these characters have for each other. I just did. I'm keeping this forever because I got this for Christmas, and me and my mom both read it, and we were both like, okay, it could have ended there, and it could have ended there. Oh, okay, definitely end there, end there, end there. Oh, keep on going, and okay. And that's just how it kept on going. Next, I think I have right here the favorite book I read this month, and that will be Bonesmith. I read this during the first snow day I've seen in over 10 years. I finished it during it, and that was a special couple of days in January. This is the happiest I've been. I've left the house the most I ever have this month. I'm a very indoor person. I barely leave my house, and people say that a lot, and people exaggerate that a lot, but I mean that wholeheartedly. I don't leave the house enough. So it was a goal of last year to leave the house more, and it's a goal of this year to leave the house more. And I literally sat on my porch. I sat on my porch. I was outside. I touched snow. I touched grass. That was my thing for this year, was to touch grass more, and I did it. I made snow angels. That holds a special place in my heart forever now. And this book will also now have a special place in my heart because it happened simultaneously. But this book was so good. In the synopsis, it combines Gideon the Ninth with the White Walkers from Game of Thrones, and I feel like that fits perfectly. I have never read Gideon the Ninth, but from what people tell me about it, that seems about right. And I have watched, not read, but watched all of Game of Thrones, and that seems about right as well. It was just so good. I love the characters. I was actually invested in the story. Before this book took place, I was debating on whether I was done reading YA fantasy or not, because I just hadn't read many in 2024, fantasy specifically, that I grabbed onto as much as I used to. I'm 21 now, so I was thinking, am I getting too old for YA? Because I read Silver and the Bone, I read Seven Faceless Saints, and they were both trash. All the like a lot of the YA fantasy I read in 2024 was not it. And then this happened, and I was just so happy that I like the characters, I like the plot, I like where it's going, I like that it's a duology. I like it was just really, really good, and I'm very invested. I need book 2. This is the Fairy Loot edition, so I need to buy book 2 Fairy Loot edition, because I also read another series by her called Crown of Feathers. I read the entire trilogy. It was really good. I would give that one like a 3.5, 4 stars as a whole rating. And so now I need to finish this one. Next, I have A Fragile Enchantment. And this is a book that my mom bought for herself from Fairy Loot. And she's not a low stakes fantasy type of girly, but also she doesn't read much fantasy. So when she does, she wants there to be stakes because that's what keeps her interested. But I really enjoyed this. I like the characters. So she didn't enjoy it, so she gave it to me. I'll give it like a 4 star. I really like the characters. I really like the atmosphere of it, which is very cozy spring vibes, and I really enjoyed it. And I just love. I told her, like, even if I don't like this book, I'm keeping it regardless because just because of that. But I'm glad that I actually like it. I do not like white people just on my covers like that. So I might turn up around the dust jacket, but this was so good. I really enjoyed this. It was my first DNF of the year. And here's the thing. I was thinking the same reasons I didn't like Guinevere Deception as the same reason I didn't like this. So I technically should have DNF the Guinevere Deception as well, but I didn't because it was so short. This one is short too, but there were so many words per, like the font was like at 2 font. There were so many words. I was like, oh, that's why it's so short, because there's 80,000 words per page. But we have The Temptation of Magic. This is the Fairy Loot edition. Very basic in my opinion, but the sprayed edges are nice. I DNF this one. So there's no rating for it, but in one ear, out the other. In one eye, out the other. Did I care? No. A lot of the dark academia books coming out this year, coming out recently in recent time, they just don't hit. A lot of the time, it's only aesthetics, no character, no personality. And I'm just over it. I haven't read many dark academias, but the ones I have read, aesthetics over personality, over plot, over substance. And I'm just over it. I'm over it. So I did not finish that one. And yeah, today's the 31st. I don't know when this video is going up, but that's all the books I read in January. And I hope next month I read more, I read better, and yeah, because I had a lot of lowly rated books this month, but hopefully I do better. Not me. Hopefully you books do better. It's not my fault that y'all books are trash. It's my fault for buying said books, but not my fault that these books are trash. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time, and have a great day. Have a great reading day. Bye.